let me go get my notes. Okay. I'm in love with my rainbow pencil holder. um, my rainbow pencil holder. Allie, can you stop trying to eat me alive? Oh, that looks great. I wish I could put it. Oh, there's Bonnie right there. Hold on, hold on. Hi.
Hi, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you perfect.
Okay, cool.
I can hear you perfect. How are you, friend?
I am good.
Oh, good. Okay, so I'm going to start off with my little intro, which is if you are watching us via Facebook or YouTube, you can ask questions and they'll pop up right here, and sometimes I'll highlight them and we'll be able to answer whatever questions you're asking, or if you would like to interact with you, I'll drop a link and I'll in the comments so that you can join us, okay? We are also going to be working on creating a new Facebook page. Well, because we are in a Facebook group right now, and we're trying to create a page which will give us more accessibilities to do like lives, and instead of probably coming on StreamYard, we could just stream direct lives from Facebook. But I have to like check it out because I'm not too sure if I could stream them to all different platforms just from Facebook. But okay, so I would like to welcome my dear friend Bonnie, and I would like to give her the floor and let her explain. Well, we're going to talk about, we're doing something different today. We usually interview and talk about our experience, and whoever is our guest, I have a panel of questions that I ask them, and we interact, or we're talking about a certain subject. Tonight we're going to talk about, there was a prison day at Springer this Saturday, and Bonnie was able to make it. So I asked her if she would come on and give us a live update. So we're very privileged to have her, and thank you so much for being here with us, Bonnie.
Yeah.
No.
So, do you want to just do a little back up on the Wings program since you're more?
Oh, yeah. So the Wings program, if anybody is not familiar with what the Wings program is, Wings has been established for over 27 years, and it is a program that is brought to raise awareness. Oh my gosh, I had the whole spiel in my head and I forgot it. I have a pamphlet and everything. But it helps people who have been affected by incarceration, and it teaches them like different life skills. They teach, there's different programs around the county, 8 different programs, and there's been prison days for about, like, I don't know, the last 10 years. It's been a long time, right? Well, because I know 9 years ago I went to my first Wings party, so I know it's been probably longer than that. But yeah, Wings has been around for a long time, and the Wings goes into the men's facilities and the women's facilities. So it goes into Springer and Western. And Bonnie was able to go in on the Wings prison day, and it's where the families come in. There's a specific amount of families that are able to come in, and they're able to see their loved one who is an inmate, and the Wings is able to facilitate that meeting. Right, Bonnie?
Yes. So interestingly enough, I was in Springer in 2017, and my 4 kids actually came in with the Wings program back when Anne was in charge of it, and she is just recently no longer in charge of the Wings program. So I met up with you, Rhiannon, and did a little bit, barely anything with you with Wings, and they really quickly were offering people to do a background check to see if you could go in, and it happened really quickly in this past month. And all of a sudden it was September 9th, drove up actually alone and met up with the Wings group and was able to go back into Springer not wearing orange. So that was really interesting. And it was quite an experience to kind of follow what my kids did every time they visited me, driving in, getting out of the car, having my car searched, kind of reliving everything that every time my kids came to visit me, they had to go through. I took a lot of pictures from the outside. I did some videos from the outside. It was quite an emotional day and a drive just to experience completely on the opposite versus being inside, and went through the process, of going through what they did walking in and being checked. There was a family outside because families were lined up for family day. Watched a family be turned away because I think there was a pocket knife in their car, and had a really emotional mother that came over to us, and they had one of the girls, their daughter that was in there. They were bringing the grandson to see her, and it was his birthday. He was turning 7, and they had driven hours and hours and hours, and they got turned away, and that was really emotional to see. And then once we got in there, we watched her break down and sob because she wasn't able to see her son, and she had to go back to her pod. So that really sucked. And then going inside, got to walk back in and saw Marcus. He's still there, which is kind of crazy. And he didn't remember me at all, but he remembered you big time. That was really crazy. Told him about this podcast that you're doing, and actually told him a couple times, and then he seemed like he was really interested in that and took note of 505 Behind Bars. And
I wonder if you watched it. No.
I'm actually pretty sure he's going to be watching it.
He probably went back and pulled it up on his computer. Well, because you can stream it over there. We used to watch I was very close with him. I worked for Mr. Marcus for a lot of years, and we would watch videos he would be all, look at this car, or he liked sports cars, you know what I mean? And he knows that I'm a car girl. And then in the back, there's a game stations that we would play, and he would always be all, you all have to beat Princess. Well, because I'm a gamer. A lot of people don't know that about me, but I like Star Trek and weird things like that. No.
When we got inside, it was in the gym. I swear it was 90 or 95 degrees in there. It was so miserable hot. Didn't miss that at all. But they had tables set up for all the families, and then the Wings group. They had a church family that came from Roswell, came in and met us. And then they brought in all the girls that were to go with their families. And then the church had a program, which was similar to what they did back in 2017, where they did the dancing. I don't know what you call that, with the church.
The sign and dance? Did they do sign and dance?
Yeah, yeah. And then
Oh wow.
they had some girls that sang really well, several songs, and then the dance that they do, and
I
um,
forgot the chapel brings the girls in. That was
yeah,
something that the inmates were fighting
yes,
because they thought that it was wrong for the chapel porters to be able to be at the wings party with their family. And I was like, it shouldn't matter. No, just kidding. Well, because you know what I mean? Like some of those people might not have families, and that might be their only way of having a wings visit or experience a wings visit like that. And
right. It
I
was
guess
kind of this time too. The Wings program brought in pizza, and we lined up, and everybody got like two pieces. And so this is, I mean, I barely got into that. So this program was set up before,
can
I
you
just,
tell me how did you think that it ran now versus when Anne ran it?
well, when Ian ran it, it was just
A
really structured.
well-oiled machine. Well, because she's been doing it for so many years.
Well, I mean,
Hey, but it's like a circus show. Do you know
it
what I
was
mean? There's so many things to do that you can't physically like bond with your family. And I
right.
thought
It
that that
was,
was something, and I think that that's why God gave you this. I think you need to be vocal to Max and even maybe the board and tell them, hey, like I've been an inmate and I was at these meetings in there with my family and on the outside looking. Do you know what I mean? And tell them what happened, some of the things, maybe the way that you experienced the pocket knife.
well, what was kind of cool for me anyway was to turn around because I've been out now 5 years and 9 months to kind of just flip it and go back in and be on the opposite side, and got to talk to a lot of the girls that were in there, let them know a lot of the different programs and reentry things that are going on the outside, and just flip it around and reverse it and give people hope, you know, uh, on the out, on the reverse, go back in the opposite way. Some of my friends were like, "Don't stay there." I'm like, "No, not going to stay there." But um, it was weird. It's weird looking around, seeing it from the other angle. It was definitely a emotional journey. Um, Seeing some people in there. One girl, she hadn't seen her sister in 20 years and had kind of disowned her sister. That was just really positive things to see. Um, yeah, brought a lot of stuff back. Made sure every single inmate got the biggest pieces of pizza. It was like giving everybody instruction. All the family
That's
members
right.
can get pizza on their own when they got back out. But
Yeah.
it was a good day. It
I'm
was a really
all
good
that's
day.
right. I'm all that's right. I remember the one of the wings parties, I wanted to give up my food to give it to my kids. Well, because they had traveled so far, you know what I mean? And I was worried more about them than about, and then everybody was all trying to eat the food. It was a mess when I one of the wings parties that we went to at Springer.
Yeah. The only other person that as far as staff that I saw was Montoya, the CO that had the
The lieutenant.
green eyes, and he did recognize me. So and he said, "Oh, good job, you're doing good." So yeah, it all looked the same, except there was another pod built behind 8, way back behind 8. So that was interesting.
Really?
Yeah,
Wow.
but like I said, it's been 5.5 years now. So for me, it was is a minute there. Um, but also
They
does
were
stuff,
trying to rebuild a restrictive housing unit. So I'm curious to know if that's what that is.
huh?
You
I
should
don't know.
ask Mr. Marcus. No, just kidding. Well, because he would have been all, oh, it's so and so. Or if you would have been like, what's that new? But you probably didn't even realize until you left or whatever, because Pod 8's right there in the front where you drive out, right?
Right, and so it's further back behind. Like if you were staring at the front door of 8, it would be to the right and a little bit back, and it's same size.
Oh, yeah, because we used to have to cut weeds in that field.
Yeah, but everything else was the same. You know, the one thing they did is they gave us all tokens. We had to turn our keys in, like a little gold token. We had to turn our license in. And I came home and I washed my jeans, and they never took our tokens back when they gave us our keys and our. So I have a little token.
They're called chits. For reals?
Mhm.
You're
Yep.
supposed to turn those in. Those are the little chits that they're like, they're like numbered, right? And they
Yeah.
have
I think mine's number 56.
yeah, well
So
there's a little number, and that 56 is missing in their thing. They have a
well,
little
they
thing
didn't collect them.
hanging.
They started handing all of our stuff back to us. I think who was ever working there, just I'm waiting for them to ask for it. I'm sure they will.
No, they probably won't, because I think it's just like a little coin that they can have someone engrave. They have maintenance engrave on them or whatever. But
Oh, okay.
they're called chits. The only reason I know is because I know what the little circle thing you're talking about. Because
Yeah.
I yeah.
Okay. Well, then they can just mark it back up.
Because nobody can have keys on the facility. If you walk in with keys, you have to get like one of those little things, and then they put the so one goes where the number where your keys are goes to number 57, and then whatever. Like that's what that's supposed to be about. I was gonna ask you, did you go through the body scanner?
Yes. Yep. And I walked in with my Fitbit on. The rest of the group was like, how did you manage to walk in with that? Because nobody else had a watch or anything. You know how they don't have clocks in there. But yeah, I got to. That was
They
good.
didn't say nothing about it.
No, the girl actually who asked me, she said, "What?" You know, I had. She said to me, "Is that a watch?" And I said, "Well, it's my Fitbit." And then she just let me go through. They really didn't check. They really didn't check much.
Oh, it was a female who checked you guys in.
Mm-hmm.
What did she look like?
A female with glasses.
No, like, I'm wondering if it wasn't Bernal. Well, because I thought Bernal and Bernal wears glasses. Miss Bernal, you don't know who Miss Bernal is? She used to be there.
Yeah, I didn't recognize anybody really besides
Oh, maybe
besides
she's
Montoya and Marquez.
Yeah.
And that was it. Yeah.
Well, that's great that you had a really good experience and that you were able to, give back, even if it was just a bigger piece of pizza. No. Well, because
No, there was a lot of good interaction with the families.
even talking with the families and being able to bond with them and just being able to hear the story of the sister and the 20 years, like that's amazing.
Yes. Yeah. It was really good. And I wasn't sure what to expect, but it went way better than I thought it would. So
I'm glad that it was therapeutic for you too, because I thought that because I wanted to go too. I wanted to get in.
I know.
I assume, well, because I don't really talk about my stuff, but I sued the prison, so I assume that they didn't let me in because of that, not because of my charges or nothing like that. I assume that it's because of that. But they asked me to apply next year, and I'm like, well, what is next year gonna change? What do you know what I mean? Like, if you're not gonna let me in this year, why would you let me in next year? Do you know what I mean? Like, it was just kind of a little. I felt like it was a little dig or something, but whatever.
It was really crazy how quick that. I mean, it was unexpected.
It was divine intervention, like for you to be there. Like I felt like you needed to be there, even just to heal for yourself something, getting out and being able to do something big like that for you. I feel like that's really good, and I'm very proud of you.
It was something I needed right now in my life. So I've had a lot of ups and downs, and it definitely was something I needed personally. So I was definitely glad I went.
That's good, and I'm glad you had a good experience. If there was something that you could give voice on to change about the Wings program, like now, what would you voice your opinion on?
It's paced really intensely, where there's not I just think there needs to be a little bit of less intense spacing, and a little bit more time to give families a chance to slow it down and have a little bit more time together. So yeah, I don't, if that makes any sense. I know that a lot of the girls
we have a program that they want to put together and show everybody. And then the church comes in from another, town, and there's crafts for the kids and stuff, but there just needs to be a little bit of time so that the family can actually speak to each other. The families drive a long way to get there, and then they get in line, and they're out there in line forever, getting their cars searched. The
Going
girls
to
are
the
coming from their
scatter.
pods, and they're waiting to see their families. And so if there was just a little less time of so they can actually spend some time together. When it ended, when all of the programs ended, that the crafts and the church people were getting up and doing some, sermons, and the singing was done, they wrapped up, and it was supposed to go till 3:30, and because all the programming part was finished at 3:15, instead of giving them the extra 15 minutes to spend with their family, boom, the people there at the prison decided, okay, because there's not another 15 minutes of activity, they sent everybody back to their pod, which really I was not happy to see.
That bites. I'm all
That
that
should have
bites.
just let them spend time with the people that drove all that way. And
It's 15 minutes. I'm all.
it was 15 minutes and hours and hours and hours of time on the road, and kids wanting to see their parents. And I mean, come on,
I think that's so hard because at the end of the wings party, they like separate everybody, right? Like the inmates
Oh,
go
yes.
on this side. Well, because we got
Everybody had to go back
we gotta
along the
get strip
bleachers.
search, and the families go this way, and like some people, they're literally tearing kids away from the moms. It's
Yeah.
like a horrible sight. Like
It
I
was.
used to love the wings parties, but then I hated them because like I was one of the moms, and they were tearing my kid away from me at the end because my little girl didn't understand why she could like just sit with her mom for 5 more minutes.
Yeah.
Or do you know what I mean? And
Yes.
that's something that maybe they should think of the wings people, because even if they just give them a pretend activity to do with their family, because they have to look like they're engaged. If not, the prison's not going to let them sit there. But
Well,
if they will have
separation.
yeah,
And then there was another situation too, because recently I saw it going through the feeds on your Facebook page about the water. So a few of the tables had questioned, is that water from Springer? And of course it was. And so people were asking if I could bring water bottles in for them, which I had water bottles, but of course we were not allowed to do that. And then people were asking, is there a vending machine here? Can we get sodas? Which they were not allowed to do. And then people were not wanting to drink the Springer water because of all the attention brought to the Springer water recently. And yeah, that was,
wow. I'm all wow.
I don't know. I know that there was a situation with the water at Springer. I don't know about it, at this point in time, but one table was very adamant that they were not going to drink the Springer water. So, and it was hot. It was extremely hot.
Dang, that's crazy. I can't believe, well, because they have a freezer in the back. Mr. Marcus has a freezer in the back to have like bottles of water. They should have had the water back there cold. Or do you know what I mean? Like, I understand that it's just water, but like the families drive 5 hours sometimes to get a hot bottled water. And before they used to give peanut butter sandwiches and a tray of cookies. Well, because I think they had pizza one time, but that was at CCA. But because I was a private facility, they were able to do that. But then other than that, it was peanut butter, like cookies and different kinds of cookies and peanut butter sandwiches was the meal.
Well, we had cookies, but that's not going to conquer the Springer warm water.
My gosh, I would have been so terrified to drink the water. No, just kidding. Well, because even when I was there, that was something that I always was like wanting to drink out of the fountain, or like, I don't know. I was always scared to get sick from the water because.
Well, no, there's like serious posting about some water stuff going on there.
I know. I seen it, and they were like, "Is the water safe?" And I'm like, "How? I don't understand that." But it's because they're trying to get away with that. They're just prisoners. Who cares? That's really what they say. You know what I mean? And unless our families go to Santa Fe with it and raise concern, it doesn't become an issue. Do you know what I mean? So that's why it is important. It is important for when things like that happen in the facility, their families need to call Santa Fe and say, oh, well, so and so is going on. We want to know, is the water safe for our family? We want it, because if Santa Fe doesn't know, how are they going to correct the problem? Do you know what I mean? And it's kind of like adding fuel to the fire, because then it just makes it, I feel like, hey, then they want to come in and give you a pizza party. No, I remember there was a hole in our unit one time, right? It was an open hole, and there was like there was a septic problem, and we could smell it. It was horrible. And people were calling our families. They turned off the phones until they were fixing. It was a big old open thing for a long, long time. And then they came in and wanted to give us pizza party for it. And I'm like, how does that solve the issue? Like, what does the pizza party have to do with anything?
Yeah.
It's so crazy.
When
They should have vending machines, Bonnie, like for the families when they come in on the Wings days like that, and maybe like transition into tokens for, like, because of that situation. They should have a water bottle fountain so people can buy it. Do you know what I mean? So that way it's safe. Or
I think
like,
they have,
they should have to provide it, or no?
well, they only have one Wings Day a year, so. But I think maybe on hindsight, that might be something that Wings would need to do in the future, is just to bring waters.
They didn't bring none at all?
No, we just had like a container that had a spout, and then they would fill it up with the pitchers of and go
Are
to
you
water.
serious?
Yeah.
Oh my God.
But then-
And hey, but what's her name should have known that about the Springer water, dude, because it's been in the news and everything. What's her name? Victoria?
yeah. I mean,
I'm all the young 22 director. No, just kidding.
I mean, fixed, but the families were not real excited about it, Yeah.
Okay. Is there anything else that you want to add, Bonnie? I'm so thankful you gave us an update, because I would have liked to have gone back and be able to.
I wanted you to go with me. I didn't want to go without you.
For myself to be able, I did 9 years. I wanted to go back and see it from the outside and be able to leave in a car and not be behind in shackles, or you know what I mean? Like, it's just,
Yeah.
it's
it was my little thought process. The last time I went in was in a little marshmallow suit, with the, my handcuffs in front of me and my feet handcuffed, and people in the white van were urinating in their little white marshmallow suit,
Yeah, right.
Yeah. So, yeah.
It's a total day. I'm so proud of you that you were able to do that and able to get something therapeutic out of it. You know what I mean? Because we don't just do things to do them. You know what I mean? And I'm glad that you got something that you needed to get out of it. That's why we do things in life. And I'm very proud of you for stepping out of your comfort zone. And I'm proud that you got in so fast, because you got approved like in just a couple of days.
It was literally like a week, and it was really unexpected. I mean, and I believe that was just a God thing. I mean,
Yeah.
it was a complete full circle for me, from kind of just reliving. I mean, my adult daughter is the one who continually came out, brought my children out there, and to relive it through the way they came out. I went to the gas station that they would stop at every time and get snacks, and just hearing the whole time when they would drive, they would tell me what they did. And I wanted to put it in that perspective, and that's what I did. And a lot of mental healing for me. So.
Oh, that's so nice. I'm so glad that you shared that with us, and that you were able to make those those healing connections for yourself, because that's something that you and your kids deserve. Maybe reach out. Did you tell your daughter you went?
At this point in my life right now, my adult daughter is not speaking to me. So I am, that is another part of this journey on the mistakes you make in life and how things pan out. So hopefully, right one day soon here, that will flip around. But, we all, the mistakes we make pan out in different ways. And that's where I'm at right now. So I will say
That's
this much:
so true.
my oldest son, had not been speaking to me also for the past 5.5 months. And as I was driving to the prison, he texted as I was pulling up and said he wanted to speak to me. So on my way back home, we had our first talk in 5.5 months. So that was a big major journey for me that day. So
Oh my gosh, I'm so happy for you. That's great.
I'm so happy for me too, because I've had a lot of mental health issues in my life, and I've unwound a lot of them in the past 6 months, and I'm on a big journey of healing, and this is part of it. So thank you.
I'm so proud of you. I'm so proud of you. I feel like a mother. No, just kidding. Like a little
Yeah,
mama bear. No, just
I think
kidding.
we're getting ready to talk about another big mental health lady.
I would like for us to work on a group and to go into maybe like high schools to talk to young girls about domestic violence and stuff like that. Well, because I know that you're passionate about that stuff too, and like about no is
Yeah,
no, and you know what I mean, like stuff like that. Because young girls don't know that. Not even like women, even that are 21, sometimes don't know that, or you know what I mean.
yeah.
Victims who have been affected by, you know what I'm saying, and it's empowering to tell your story. So
Well,
I would like to work on something like that
you,
too, going into like high schools though.
and you mentioned this lady, this whack job. What is her story? That
Oh
um,
yes, that brings us to our next story. No, just kidding. So
has
we're trying just
today.
something a little bit different, because I'm just trying to get people engaged, and I asked a couple people to come on, but maybe Kira could make it. And I am gonna reach out to a few people next week to do another something. And I also reached out. There's some people missing in my county, and there's like a little group that I belong to. It's called Good Stuff About Belen, and there is a man. His name, um, his name is Jack Williams. He's a missing person, and there is a $5,000 reward for anybody who has any information that would lead to his whereabouts. He was, I don't. It's because I had a dream about a friend that he was lured out of the moose by a lady. So I don't know. I'm just hoping that they find him. But the 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 people, he got taken from the moose, and it's already been like 3 weeks, and they've been doing like searches off and on, and I hope that I just want to raise attention to it. So if anybody knows anything, or like, can you call there's a hotline or whatever, and you can leave the tips or whatever, and they might lead to his whereabouts. And
Wow.
there's another person too. And I reached out to the two families to see if they wanted to come on the podcast to raise awareness. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because I feel like if we have this platform and we could reach people, I would like to do that. Do you know what I mean? That's why we're here. And it doesn't matter if it's one of us, or like if somebody was missing, I would want somebody to reach out to us and be like, hey, can we help you? Or do you know what I mean? So I just reached out to the families, and Jack Williams, I've been put in contact with one of the spokespersons for the family, and we're actually in a group chat, and I'm hoping that they're gonna want to come on, just because it'll raise, like, when missing persons happen, you have to have leads, and like if you don't find out stuff right away, like the leads go dead. You know what I mean? So you have to keep it out there in the public eye. So that's the only reason I was wanting to do that. But then the other thing I was wanting to talk about, that so there is it's a YouTube, and this is like a lot of things that have been happening. I think there was another family that I watched maybe like a couple of years ago, where this mom was start abusing a girl, and she got out. She was like watching videos on TikTok and seeing that the mom wasn't treating her right, and she was posting things in the night, and they were like, why do we only see you in the night? And like she ended up getting escaped, but she had been like really abused. They had her she was like hidden like for 3 years or whatever. But this is basically almost what is happening with this lady. But did you see the things that I sent you? And
Yeah.
it's really crazy, right? And I just want to go through a little highlight, and then we'll talk back and forth about a little things. So there was the husband, her and the husband were together, and then she had been posting, like had like a YouTube channel. It was called 8 Passengers. And then one of I believe the daughter is the one who started she tried to leave the home and post about it. Okay, so then she was calling the cops, and the cops and CPS were called over 12.5 times in a 4-year period of time, and they never. I just like, this is the thing I have about CPS, because they can be called that many times, and then look what happened. These kids were tied up with duct tape in a basement. Like, man, I just like.
Like,
And this lady is going around the world trying to act like she's a parental coach. Like, isn't that more ironic, Bonnie? Like, what is the world coming to, friend?
well, and that type of stuff, child abuse, and it ends up where kids end up, bad off and end up in, drugs and crime, and we're
Ugh. It just like it's very scary, because she was in the public eye for a long time. You know what I mean? And then the husband left. It was literally the neighbors. The neighbors started saying, okay, well, we're seeing these kids alone in the house, and they won't come to the door. They're hiding. So then she would put up plastic on the windows and leave for like months at a time. So these kids were just left in the house.
well, and
And
I read that the police even came and saw the kids behind the door and didn't even and left.
that's so crazy. Like, how
I know.
could they? I don't.
Years.
It's like really mind-boggling to me. But then it nowadays nothing doesn't really like phase us, because I've seen a lot of stuff incarcerated when I was incarcerated, and I just like I was reading the charges, because like someone, you would think that she would just be able to bond out or whatever, but they're holding her on a no bond and everything. And I was all, thank God, because anything that has to do with great bodily harm to a child or anything like that, they got hold on a no hold bond. Like it's a mandatory thing in any state or whatever.
I think they have bruises all over them, and they're extremely thin and like skeleton kind of like. I think she had them tied up like for a long time and bruised, and they haven't been fed. Like, it's pretty bad.
I can't believe that the little boy jumped out of the window and ran to the neighbors and was like, please, can you give me some water and food? And he had duct tape on him. Like, he was all beaten up, all like malnutrition. They said the police reports, well, because I read a little bit of where it was highlighted, and it said that he was malnutrition, and then they seen the residue of the tape on him. He had tape, and then they went back to go to the residence, and they found the sister tied up.
And she was doing a podcast sharing her parenting skills to everybody else, that this was how to parent your children, and had that running for years, evidently. So she was teaching other people that this was the way to parent.
That is so crazy. I seen one of the first videos that I sent you. I don't know if you've seen it. Well, because I was going through all of them, and she's talking so crazy to them, Bonnie. She's like all what did she say? She's like,
she told them they had no rights. That they
yes,
had no
and this is her house. They don't have a right to sleep. They don't have a right to eat. They don't have like nothing. They can't.
No space.
Nothing.
They have no space in the home alone. Yeah. And
I was so
she had tons of followers. She had people, she
millions.
said she was making millions on her podcast. That she had tons of followers doing this.
So in 2022 is when she kind of went off the grid. She went off the grid, and that's when the neighbors and people for a 3-month period of time, they didn't see the kids. They didn't know like where they were at, and that's where she had the windows covered. So I'm assuming she had them tied up in the basement. I'm just assuming. I don't really know, but and she
Yeah.
was touring the world with that Jody lady. Her name is Jody, the one that she had a that and then this is where it gets a little wild and weird for me, because that lady Jody was their therapist. Was the kids, it was their therapist. Their like the kids, like she was going to them saying like, can you help me be a therapist with my kids or whatever. So the therapist and the mom came up with this scheme to have this podcast called Connects about raising kids, when they're literally tying up the kids in the lady Jody's basement. That's where they found those kids. That lady, she's arrested too, so she had to have known, right?
Oh yeah.
Or because is she arrested because it was on her property? What do you think that is?
I think she was part of it. I mean, I only got a little bit of it. I mean, this is the first time I saw it was when you sent it to me today, but it's
pretty wild, right? And I was like, wow, I can't believe this. Well, because I see all kinds of stuff, there's so many stuff on YouTube and so many things that I feel like need to be like, there need to be aware of things like this. Do you know what I mean? I feel like that's exploiting the kids. You know what I mean? Like I was watching what the guy that was talking about it. He's like, all the people that are on social media, they should do welfare checks on them. They really should, because you don't know for a fact that they're not. And I'm not saying everybody's doing this. I'm not saying that, but I'm saying there's that 1% that are falling through the cracks, just like this lady did for years and years. And look at the abuse that the kids suffered. Imagine being called the police over half a dozen of times in a 4-year period. You would think that one cop that cared, that had a little bit of a heart, would have investigated that, or no, Bonnie. Like, I just feel like, isn't that like an egregious injustice for the justice system in what happened with those kids?
Well, and sadly, there's probably many, many, many more things like that going on out there.
Right? Yeah.
Yeah.
Hey, we're not even touching the tiny bit of it. But yeah, I thought that was I kind of want to do this every week, just because it's important for us to talk about different topics. Probably next week I want to talk about something about mental health, because I feel like that's really important, and ways that we can keep a healthy mental health, and like maybe like, what do you do for your mental health regimen? And I could talk about mine, or like we could get other people sharing, because I feel like that's very important also as well. And for us to have a networking group, to be able to be open with one another, to be like, if I need something, I'm going to be like, oh, I can depend on you because I know that you're going to be there, because that's important.
And I think that there's a lot of situations that people have mental health issues that end up in the prison system, in the jail system, and they don't get the help they need at all. And it's, yeah, for sure.
I know. I think a lot of the times that I've seen misjustices happening, it was when people were dealing with the mental health issue and the cops were acting crazy, or trying to say that they were acting crazy, but like someone's having a breakdown. How do you deal with that? Do you know what I mean? The cops don't know how to deal with that. Like, and now, have you seen the cops on the street? Is that what a peer community support worker is? When they interact, what they can call somebody up and say, hey, this is happening in the community, and can you come and help us, like, intervene instead of the police being called? Is that what the new what is it called? There's a new, is it a community? That's not the community support worker. Well, because I know there's a new entity for the police that do that, but I'm not too sure what it's called.
We'll have to study that this week.
Because it's a new thing that they made because of a lot of mental health things were happening, and I think that they finally got sued, a few times behind something like that, and they had to implement a system. Do you understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But there is something in place in Albuquerque. I'm not sure exactly what it's called, but it's like a civilian person. They're not an officer, and if they're having a mental health issue, instead of like calling the police, they call those workers and they go out and try to deal with it instead of jamming up the police.
I am completely not sure.
Yeah, no, there is. I know. I'm not sure what they're called exactly because I heard about it. I heard about it. Okay. What
Okay.
else? I think that's it. I think that's it. What do you think would be, well, because they're gonna have a trial, this girl on the trial, I think that maybe we'll keep tabs on the trial. No, well, because do you know what I mean? I think that that's it's like news, you know what I mean? And it's important to follow stuff like that because I'm just curious to find out what her defense was. No, you know what I mean? Like, why did you have your kids tied up with duct tape? No.
Well, I think she's got some serious issues. Be curious what her life was like as she grew up, that she got to this point. And her husband was standing beside her during a lot of it, but then he left. But I mean,
There's no way though that you can't tell me that husband didn't know what was going on. Don't you think?
And those
Or-
kids are going to be messed up kids for a minute and then some. They're going to need some therapy.
Yeah, lots of therapy, lots of support. And hopefully they can turn it around because that's something that can really affect their lives for years to come, but we're going to pray for them because that's horrible. And the oldest daughter, whenever they got arrested, when the mom got arrested, her, she was like, finally, thank God they finally believe us. And I'm like, dang, that's crazy. Like, I don't know.
Yeah. And I think right now, I mean, I just saw snippets of it. I mean, I'm sure there's a whole lot more that isn't even.
Oh yeah, this is just like, I feel like there's gonna be a lot of stuff that come out, and I feel like she's gonna try to blame her husband a lot, but I don't know. I think that we'll just follow it, and hopefully we can get together soon to work on the Facebook page. Well, I might try to work on something and then just give you admin to be able to do it. Is that okay?
Yeah.
Okay. Cool.
Well, we'll start to
Because
put
I want
those
you to
where
put the
people can
YouTube
just
link and
click
all
on, put a little link where you can just click on it. It'll go right to it, which we tried to do tonight. But yeah, we'll start doing
Okay.
that.
Right
Okay.
on. Thank you. Well, thank you so much. I appreciate you so much, Bonnie. I appreciate you for coming on and sharing your prison day experience for Springer.
Well, and I think if there's any other people that want to try that and they get a hold of you, we can link them to, if they want to try to get to go with Wings as well. They can use volunteers to go. So if anybody has that desire, give it a shot.
Our try me bitch #1 commentator says she can't blame the husband. She did it on her own.
There you go.
Okay, thank you everybody for watching. We're grateful to Bonnie, and Bonnie will probably be coming on next week also to discuss mental health, whatever the topic is. I just volunteer. Well, because it's important for us to be able to talk about our mental health regimens and the things that we're conquering in our I had severe panic attacks when I got out of prison. Like I couldn't even get in the shower. Like, I'm serious. Like, I used to have to shower, half in the shower and half out. Like, I'm not kidding you. I had bad panic attacks until like maybe about a year and a half ago, and then they started lightening up a little bit, and I haven't had any recently, but yeah, I I feel like it was from my PTSD of like everything being hit. You know what I mean? Like you come out and you think that your life is going to be one way, but then it's like really not that way. It's like a whole nother way that you didn't even see happening, you know? And then sometimes it's a little overwhelming. And I think that that might have been a little trigger for me. But yeah, I was
Well,
having
you
bad
know,
attacks.
as I've been, doing a lot of work on my mental health and stuff, there's a lot of genetic links in mental health. And then recently I've had some of the stuff I've been going through as far as working through stuff, and some really eye opening stuff that I've had that has helped me mentally is sometimes you do a lot of self blame. And the biggest eye opening for me has been instead of self blame, has been where people come at you about how you are or what, how you act or whatever. And the biggest thing I wanted to give back to that is it's not about yourself in those realms. It's instead of people saying what's wrong with you, it's what happened to you. And there's a journey that takes you through a lot of the places that you end up in your journey of mental health. And it's really not you as a bad person. There's a lot of things that take you in your journey that get you to the place you are. And so one thing I want to say is give yourself a lot of grace if you're having a struggle. And I've had given myself a lot of grace, and that's why I'm doing a lot better right now. So any of you out there struggling, just like take a breath, because boy, I have beat myself up. And I just want to encourage you guys to take a breath and forgive yourself if you have any of those bad thoughts about yourself, because suicide was my number one go-to, and I'm starting to not have that as go-to. So if I can give anything back to anybody, like what happened, it's more what happened to you than what's wrong with you. Please, like, have those thoughts in your mind.
Oh my gosh, that's so wonderful. Well, because it's true, you know what I mean? Like I think a lot of the times people look at me and they're like, oh my God, she's so mean. It's not that I'm mean, I'm real guarded too, because even in prison, when I was in prison, I I was friends with just a few people. Well, because you have a small circle when you're in prison. But I my one friend Chino would tell me, "Damn, you cold, Rhiannon." She's all, people could talk shit about you all day on this compound, and you walk the compound with your head held high. And I said, "Yeah, I sure do, because none of these bitches don't know me." I said, and second of all, I probably wouldn't even fuck with them on the streets. No, just well, because like people just want to
Yeah.
hear me, but they
Yeah.
don't know what you've been through. You know what I mean? I'm
Well,
hard because
yeah.
I've been through a lot of stuff. If you really get to know me, like, you don't know me like that because you know me as a different person. You know what I mean? And so I feel like if that's the best advice you can give, like, don't look at people like, that's so right.
Well, and I
But
never wanted to be like a weak person. I'm a strong Scorpio bitch. Like, hey, I was in the army. I mean, it might look not, I whatever. Like, I don't look like I'm a strong Scorpio bitch, but I did everything on my own. Like, I never ever had a man in the house. 4 kids, no child support, whatever. Like, I didn't bring anybody in beside me, but I held it, and till I couldn't. And so but I never wanted to appear weak. I never ever wanted to act like I wasn't okay, but it's been a struggle. And it wasn't about like what's wrong with me. It's about what happened to me. And I've had a reality check, and I just hope everybody can, maybe, I don't know, anybody, not, just realize it's more than that. So
that's so true. That's so it's telling too, because to hear someone else say it, you know what I mean? Like, we don't always look at our eyes, our what we've gone through with perspective. You know what I mean? But that it resonates with me because I've been through a lot of stuff, and
yes.
I feel like I have to portray that tough person, because if not, I'm going to seem weak. Do you know what I mean? but
Yeah.
that's exactly the, I feel like showing your vulnerable side, being open, being able to, like I told you, I want to get together and you and I plan like a women's circle where we do a painting, a therapeutic painting session where we get all the paints and all the canvases, and then the women just come and it's like a
Yeah.
healing experience. You know what I
Well,
mean?
I'd like to share that ACEs test too, which is it's a test about like your mental health, like where, you know, how you ended up where you're at. And it just gives you that reality that it's not you, it's what happened to you. And then people really will go, okay, like it wasn't me. And then you don't have to feel like crap. And then you can like let it go and realize that a lot of things did happen to you and it's okay. And you can start to rebuild and it'll make a huge difference. We could even post it on the Facebook page too for people. So just some
That'll be
positive things,
cool.
you know.
That would be cool. I'm excited to work on the new Facebook page and to get new stuff going. Well, because I feel like the more stuff we're doing, and once we get our 1,000 followers, we could start having events. And I want to do a spades event, and I want to do a painting event. And the painting event, I want to be free. I want everybody to come. Like we just have the canvases, and we'll get donations or whatever.
And
Well,
those things
because
are like, those are healing things, like just to
they,
like, just
yeah,
like
the
let yourself
painting.
rest and breathe and, you know,
I
whatever.
even want to do like a yoga session or like something like, you know, have a, maybe we're a couple of us get together and go like to a hot springs or something like that, or, you know, something healing like that.
For
We're
sure.
gonna go jump in a cenote in Mexico. No, I'm just kidding.
Well, sounds good. This was good.
Thank you, friend. Okay, so I'll be in touch, and I'm gonna work on the other Facebook, and I'm gonna put you as an administrator so that you can do your magic. No, maybe Luna
Hopefully,
can
I
help
think
you.
just so that people can stream it better and not
Yeah.
and just pop on to any of them and look at the other ones too. Very cool.
And I'm also gonna make you an administrator on the Behind Bars page, so that way we can, because I want you to be able to put some pictures. Because you know how there's a bunch of pictures? I want to put those pictures on our other page. Can we do that?
Okay. Yeah, I'll try. I'll get my
Okay,
kid to
well,
help me.
because I don't know. I'm just asking.
Yeah, yeah. Okay.
Okay.
Have a
Okay,
good
thank
night.
you, friend. You have a good
Okay.
night too. Signing
Okay.
off from Behind Bars in the 505. Everybody have a good night. Thank you, friend.
Bye-bye.
Bye.